What what's going on, everybody? It's Ryan here. Have you unsubscribed yet? Do you want to watch email marketing stuff or stuff about marketing and selling stuff to people on the internet, people in real life, marketing psychology? This is something I've always been wanting to talk about for a long time, and I like to write about it, but I just don't have time. It's easier just to flip the video on and just start talking. And the one thing I do want to talk about is you have to think about when it comes to sending emails, when you're emailing someone, it really does come down to who you're emailing. I mean, just think about this for a second. People who are, um, I wrote this to somebody else. Some people who own a BMW is different than the people that own um, a Corolla, Toyota Corolla. Their buying behavior is different. Their tastes are different. Their expectations of price are different. You know, typically someone who buys a Beamer or who buys a Mercedes, a 40, 50, 80, 150, $200 oil change is no problem. But when it comes to like a Toyota Corolla or like my Dodge Journey that I have here, you know, anything more than $50 is too much for marketing. I mean, for marketing for an oil change, because again, it depends who's opening the email. It depends on who you're talking to. At the end of the day, it almost always comes down to who you are selling to. I mean, and you just think of this at a very granular level when it comes to trying to sell stuff to people, trying to market to people, trying to capture people's attention and buy, and you're trying to persuade them. The difference of someone famous or someone who has a name like a Tim Ferriss, Elon Musk, Susie Orman, Warren Buffett. Imagine if you can get inside their inbox. Imagine if you were able to email them and they recognized your email, they knew who you were, or they knew what you represented. You know, that's going to make a big difference to to like the way in which people essentially, like, you get in their inbox, that person's behavior is different, and these people that I mentioned are very rich. They have a lot of clout, they have a lot of social media presence or repertoire, so they are part of a small group of people, just like the group of people that buy a BMW is smaller than the group of people who buy a Toyota Corolla, because they're two different markets. And so when you write an email, when you write a piece of marketing material, it really has to speak to that kind of a buyer. So when you sell something, like something is cheap, like something is discounted, like Walmart buyers, for example, that kind of messaging isn't going to work as well for someone who maybe shops at, I won't even say Target, because they're kind of competitors. I'm thinking more like higher end type stuff. um, because when you make something sound cheap or sound like a deal, often to people who like to spend a lot of money don't like that. I mean, they do. Everybody likes to have a deal. Don't get me wrong, but if it feels cheap, they're not going to want to do it. So how does this all relate to email? When you actually enter someone's email box, it could be a friend, it could be a boss, it could be a colleague, it could be someone that is maybe below, maybe someone that you manage. You have to remember that it's who you're talking to. Now, whether you're emailing one person or you're emailing a million people, it doesn't make a difference. You need to always think about the type of person that is most comprised, that's going to see that message, because that's going to have a most dramatic impact on what's going to be said. Hey, what's up, Craig? I see your message. Looking forward to upcoming videos. Yeah, I'm going to do more of these. So I only meant to make this a minute long, but I guess I'll go to the 5-minute mark. A lot of these videos are going to start with the word unsubscribe, and then they're going to start with unsubscribe, and then I'm going to go ahead and put something about marketing. I want to do like a 1-minute email marketing tip, but then I can't remember what I was going to say. Just that I just know when I teach, I learn a lot better. And one of the things that I learned about marketing and selling is that it really does depend on who you're talking to. Like, you have to think about what it is that you want, and then think about the person that you're communicating what they want. Like, usually the people that are watching this video, right, or who either watch it later or you're watching the live stream, you're typically, it's kind of hard to say. This is kind of where I really need to make my message more succinct. But that's why I'm trying to get people off the channel that don't want to watch marketing stuff, because I want to make it clear that I don't want everyone on this channel. So that's number one. I'm trying to pre-qualify by sort of kicking people off, or asking people to leave the room. Because really what I want is I want people that want to be here, right? Because ultimately when it comes to selling, like you only want to sell people that want to be sold to, right? I mean, that's the worst thing. People think often when they first get into selling, they think that you have to convince someone. And most of the time, it's really not about convincing anyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still part of the process. But often, it actually has a lot more to do with the quality of the lead. It has a lot to do with the quality of the market. You know, a mother in their 40s who is trying to lose weight, who's maybe a stay-at-home mom, or maybe they're a working mom, but they have maybe one or two kids, you know, and then they walk into a gym. They're going to have a certain mindset and beliefs, and you have to sort of appeal to those specific beliefs. Like typically, women in their 40s, they're afraid of getting old. You know, like I'm 36, and I already have these crow's feet here, right? These are starting to bother me, right? You know, there's my teeth are starting to bother me. Like these little things. I mean, you might, if you're watching this and you're younger, you might not even think about these things, but then they start to bother you when you get into your 40s and 50s, and then you start to regret. Like, man, I wish I took better care of my teeth. I wish I took care better of my skin. I wish I started using moisturizer. Right? These are women, but men too, right? Because nobody wants to be old. Anyways, kind of blabbered about here. I appreciate you watching me. I just kind of went on a little rant, but I'm gonna do more of these. My goal is to actually do one live one every single day, at least 1 minute. And of course, I stayed on here for 6 minutes and 23 seconds. See you later. Thanks for your comment, Greg. Appreciate it. Your engagement with me. Yeah, it's always direct response, Greg. So it's always direct response. I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's always direct response. The thing you have to remember though, it's when you start to get really big and you're like a big brand, direct response is a big part of the engine, you know, because ultimately you want a bulletproof, like for example, bulletproof coffee with like Dave Asprey. You know, he runs sort of a direct response business to some degree. I think every business is sort of direct response, but then there's hardcore direct response, which is like Dan Kennedy, like I saw you mentioned. I didn't really read your whole comment, but like Dan Kennedy and stuff like that, and you know Gary Halbert, all that stuff. Those hardcore direct response are still very, very important. You know, but then you still need a funnel media. You know, people on Facebook, people on Google, people on various blogs, people on TV, people on, you know, and direct response. If you're just pure direct response, you're just not going to be able to afford to reach those sources of media. Sure, you can make a 7-figure business, maybe an 8-figure business, but if you want to be like a 9-figure business and be like a global brand, like a L'Oreal, like a IKEA or something like that, you want to create like you need to create massive appeal and then run a direct response engine to a brand engine. And often the truth about the sad truth, not the sad truth, but just the fact when it comes to direct response is you have to go into the dirt. You have to kind of get really quote unquote sleazy or gray hat. And often that runs counter to, although that improves conversion and improves sales, it runs completely counter to building a brand often the times. But the problem is you're an entrepreneur, you're starting a business and you're trying to bootstrap, you know, and you're not making any money or you need to make money, you know, so you kind of have to like, got to push the limits. That way you can eat, you know, or that way you can keep the lights on and pay the employees and pay your rent, you know. So those are some things to kind of consider. It's like, that's the reason why, this is why I'm trying to understand why venture capitalists, these startups have to like generate a crap load of money so that they can hire the right people, they can build the infrastructure, they have a cash reserve, and they can buy customers at a loss through their marketing, you know, and that way they don't have to be as quote unquote aggressive with their marketing or gray hat, you know. There's lots of stuff in the recesses of online marketing where it's kind of considered sleazy, but the fact of the matter is that's how you make money. You know, that's how, that's not true. That's how you convert sales. A lot of people want to be like a personality. Like I'm trying to do this, like I'm trying to make this channel, I'm trying to do this. But the truth is what I'm doing online, what I'm going to be doing on this channel moving forward is not going to make me any money. You know, it's just purely for my own hobby, for me to learn, but it's also for maybe potentially build a long-term brand. Like one of the people that motivate me a lot, if you've heard of Dan Lok, one of my favorite guys on YouTube. And I think a lot of people who watch marketing stuff know Gary Vaynerchuk, but Dan Lok is one of my favorites, and this is sort of my inspiration. So you know, I'm just gonna do a live every day. You know, spend at least 1 minute giving one tip. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.